bitches, hoes, men, women, children, whoever you are, everyone's welcome here. It's your boy, Peter here, aka Peter Freakout 10, baby. Bringing you guys up episode of the Movie Review Show, where the good movies are always reviewed. Okay, back into our movie review. Alrighty, and we're back into the world of high school coming-of-age comedies. But today we're taking a dark turn, because today's film asks the question, what was the darkest thing you ever did in high school? And you could have never admitted that you did it. You could have stolen Pokemon cards from your local gas station or comic book store. You could have had sex with your crush without telling your parents. With protection, mind you. That's the one base of morality that you had back then. But had you murdered someone accidentally? Well, today's film shows what happens when murder comes into play in an area like that. And how one's discovery of that murder gets her into a clique that did it. And what film is that, you may be asking? That film is none other than Jawbreaker. But how does it all come together? Well, get yourself a Jawbreaker, hence the title. Be sure to suck on it. Don't swallow it. Don't chew it, because you'll break your teeth or choke. Grab whatever friends you have and whatever clique you find yourself in, and let's talk Jawbreaker. Now, Jawbreaker, this is a film made in the year 1999, and this is written and directed by a guy named Darren Stein. Now, Darren Stein, this is a guy who up to this point had only 2 credits to his filmography. He did a short called Avial. His directorial debut, though, was a movie called Sparkler with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jamie Kennedy. None of those films I've seen, so I can't say if his directing has improved over those. But production for this film started because the idea for Jawbreaker came from Darren's time in an all-boys school, where he heard a story his sister did to her friend on her birthday, where they dressed up as kidnappers and acted like they were going to kidnap her, but they tied her to a flagpole, allegedly, revealed who they were, and went to Denny's to eat and celebrate her birthday. He had also raised himself on a heavy dosage of teen comedies like Heathers, Carrie, and various John Hughes movies. He thought back to the story his sister told him and decided to get a script going and make it into a movie, originally intending it to be a horror comedy, using Heathers as inspiration. But the more the writing process went on, it eventually formed into a dark comedy. TriStar got word on the script and were looking to venture into the teen coming-of-age demographic, with Darren putting himself in the director's chair and was giving a budget of $3.5 million. There was one catch, though, before they went along with the film completely. There was a choice of 3 particular actresses the company wanted to play one of the characters. The 3 the studio gave him the choice of were Kate Winslet, Natalie Portman, and/or Rose McGowan. He, of course, chose Rose McGowan. Rose's star was rising around this time thanks to her small role in the hit Scream, so Darren snatched her up for the main villain. After that was all settled, they got the rest of their cast together. The movie was shot in location and around the Los Angeles area, with particular scenes involving the high school and the cafeteria being shot in 2 different locations. Vicky Barrett, the film's costume designer, who also worked on films like Clueless and The Wedding Singer, designed the clothes to reflect a sort of 1950s, 1980s fashion trend, blended with fetishistic elements like Lyrica skirts, all of which resembled the colors of a Jawbreaker. And for her performance, Rose based it off Gene Tierney's performance in Leave Her to Heaven. She also included various references to her husband Marilyn Manson, even getting him a small role in the movie. Shooting lasted for a specific amount of time, and while all was going great, there was one last hurdle to deal with. Can anybody guess who that is? The MPAA, who once they saw the sex scene between Rose and her husband, they awarded the film an NC-17 rating. This led to the scene being trimmed. It wasn't too much of a hassle, though, as it was only submitted twice, and the second time it was able to earn its R rating. To market the film, they had Imperial Teens do a song for the film, which Rose actually appeared in as a character from this movie. The movie was then released on February 19th, 1999, and it crashed and burned on its opening weekend, as Payback was still riding the top spot and earned only over $1 million in its opening weekend, placing it at number 13, so it was a pretty big flop at the box office. The film also received negative reviews from critics, as on Rotten Tomatoes is a 15%, with many critics comparing it to Heathers, feeling that it paled in comparison to that film, feeling the film was too mean-spirited and relied mostly on shock humor. Roger Ebert was even one of those people, awarding the film 1.5 stars out of 4. Despite calling the film's production slick, he criticized the film's script due to the intelligence of the script, feeling it made no sense. The performance by one of the girls, Rebecca Gayheart, did earn her some praise. Despite this, the film's audience side is more on the mixed, as on that side is a 55%, and on IMDb it is a 5.7 out of 10. So I think it really depends on where you look. I don't believe the internet scores though this time, because I've talked to a lot of people who saw this film, those few that did, and they all seem to enjoy it and even consider it a fun time, and they all had a blast. So I don't know if the internet is not always the most trusted place, which it isn't, but here seems like it varies on who you talk to. I do have to say, seeing this film and then checking out the critics' reviews, I really want to know what these guys were watching. 15% is ridiculous. It doesn't deserve that, and it sure as hell didn't deserve to bomb. I don't get these critics using the film's mean-spirited tone as a con when it's clear that's the point of the film and that's what they were going for. And I feel this film is a lot smarter than these critics realize. And at times I find it hypocritical that these critics have a problem with the tone in this film, yet Heathers gets the pass. And I'm not dissing Heathers. Heathers is a classic, and I would definitely watch that. But at times, that film equals the mean-spirited tone of this film, even at times goes above the lengths of this film. So I don't get their critiques. So why is it a problem with this film? And everything they're complaining about is why I loved this film. I'll explain why later, though. But with the cast in this film, as I said, you got Rose McGowan playing the main lead. Rose, this was a girl from Scream, as I mentioned. She was also in Phantoms with Ben Affleck. She had a small role in Biodome. You have Rebecca Gayheart, the gorgeous fox herself. She was also in Scream 2, Urban Legend, which I did review. You have Julie Benz, who had a small role in As Good As It Gets. You have Judy Greer, who was in Kissing a Fool with David Schwimmer. The always awesome Pam Grier from Foxy Brown, Above the Law, and Jackie Brown. You also have small roles from people like Kane, who was in Scrooge, My Blue Heaven, and A Dog Day Afternoon. To any horror fan, she was in the opening of When a Stranger Calls. You also have PJ Souls, who was in Halloween and Stripes with Bill Murray. William Katt, The Greatest American Hero, and he was also in a horror thriller I like called The Paperboy. And of course, House. You even have a small role, of course, from Marilyn Manson, one of my favorite singers. But the plot is basically we meet this clique led by this girl named Courtney, played by Rose McGowan, who along with her friends Julie, played by Rebecca Gayheart, and Marcy, played by Julie Benz, they're seen as the popular group among the school. And they have a fourth friend who they decide for her birthday they're going to pull a prank on her by creating this fake kidnapping and drive her to breakfast as a surprise. However, in the process of doing so, they end up shoving a Jawbreaker in her mouth, and she ends up choking on it and dying. Julie, wanting to do the right thing, attempts them to convince them that the best thing to do would be to call the cops and call her parents. But Courtney, not wanting to ruin their reputation, convinces her and her friends to stage the incident as a murder. But in the wake of this awkward misfit of the school, Fern, played by Judy Greer, accidentally finds out about the murder, and in an act of desperation to keep her quiet, Courtney makes a deal that if she stays quiet, she'll make her one of them, which ends up happening, and she ends up taking Julie's place in the clique, as Julie does not want to stay quiet, but has to, as now she's kicked from the group and is now the outcast that Fern was. And with that, Courtney is able to be the puppeteer and makes her the talk of the school, which right there plants the seed of jealousy for Courtney as Fern starts to overtake her status as the one destined to be prom queen. So that right there kicks off this feud between them. All the while, Julie finds herself in the middle of this feud while also dealing with Courtney's ridicule and has to step up and expose Courtney for what she did and how she is lying about the death and portraying the victim as a slut. All the while, they're dealing with this detective named Vera Cruz, played by Pam Grier, who's on the case trying to get answers on how she died. Will Julie be able to expose Courtney for the piece she... Will Julie be able to expose Courtney for the piece of trash she is while protecting Fern? Or will Courtney's manipulation among the school ruin her and Fern's prom night? I really feel Jawbreaker succeeds in the story department, and I find that to be because it's so mean-spirited and black. I don't get the critics' point that this was just mean and it was uncomfortable to watch, when clearly that's what they were going for. I like the fact that the movie takes an extreme POV on something as crazy as the death of a friend and kind of makes you question your place in a friends group, which is what Rebecca Gayheart's character goes through. But I also like the fact that the movie also kind of enforces this view of how some, in particular Courtney's character, put their social status before other people, so much so that when Fern comes in and really starts to take her place, she really starts to basically lose it. I really thought that was a smart way to go about it, and just how this whole feud goes about. And it paints this view also of how some are obsessed of holding on to that title, and just how the film goes out of its way to really emphasize how stuck up Courtney is, that someone just having a plastic bag with their lunch in is enough for her to go, ew, not cool. Or she's dictating who Fern should be talking to over the phone. So she's a preppy prick, which wouldn't seem like much for a villain, but the way the movie goes out of its way to give her the presence that she has, and also with Rose's contributions to the film, which I'll get into later, and just the moments of her just treating her and other students like trash, you really start to hate her and you want to see her downfall. But with that, she also has this small little quirky side to her that got a few laughs out of me, like the scene with her and her boyfriend, and she has the popsicle stick that she calls the big stick, and kind of emphasizing fellatio a bit, and her boyfriend sucking on it. That I found really funny. And you get a lot of that throughout the film. There's a lot of sharp black comedy throughout the film. They don't resort to immature fat, fart, and poop jokes that wanna be Farley Brothers sort of jokes that so many movies have been trying to imitate, even though American Pie looks funny. I'll give that a watch and review soon. I really liked that. I really felt it benefited the film. I thought it made it stick out from other films in the black comedy genre, and being somebody who likes dark comedies and black comedies, I thought it really worked for the film. And I think some of the complaints about it are over-exaggerated, especially when compared to something like Heathers, which does equal the route of dark humor that this movie has. So yeah, I really dug the story. I dug what it went for, and just how ballsy it was. Now, on a technical side, I will say this. I think this is a really well-made film. The talents of Darren are definitely on screen here. And going back to She's All That, I will say, despite having a smaller budget than that film, I think this is a better directed film. I like that film, but the directing was really nothing to run home about. Because here, I think Darren was able to do so much with so little at his disposal. I mentioned earlier with how he based aspects of the film around a Jawbreaker, in particular the color of the girls' dresses, having the matching color of a Jawbreaker. I thought that was clever, and at times maybe a little bit of the color scheme of the film. I thought that was a unique take they went with. And that also applies to the opening credits, which I thought were really cool, kind of showing how a Jawbreaker is made and just how the opening was directed, kind of having the similar style to the opening of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with the close-ups of the chocolate. This one, though, basically is a Jawbreaker in the making. I thought that was really cool. And it's ironic, too, because the opening music in that part is actually Veruca Salt. Ironic. I thought that was a little bit of a clever hidden homage, also tying into the film's attitude. But I also feel like Darren kind of directed this film to evoke a sense of a teenager's view of the world. Look no further than the scene where Jewel is explaining what's going on to her boyfriend, and the flashback is told through this flashy sort of MTV editing, sort of pushing forward that time is passing as she is explaining the story to him. I thought it worked well for the film, and it sort of ties into the film's go against authority punk rock tone that it was going with. Along with that, I think the sequences involving the comedy side are directed with a lot of energy and have some great comedic timing to them. And just little things, like his use of slow-mo in particular shots, like the ending where Courtney gets what's coming to her. This is going to be a spoiler right here. I'm going to put a spoiler right here for those who haven't seen the film, but I really want to talk about it because it's such a good part. I will show a clip here too, but for those who see the spoiler right here, I will time this. And when it's done, and I will take off spoiler. But with that said, in that particular part, they're slowing down on everybody reacting to her, and they're all throwing stuff at her, and you're really letting it sink in. Just, this girl is screwed. I like that. And even just the scene where, I know there's a lot of people haven't seen this film and they may not know what I'm talking about, but for those who have, you know the part where they're all walking down the hall and all three are together kind of pushing forward how tight-knit they are and how they operate as one. And even when you have Fern falling down in the middle of the hallway, it kind of represents how high above her they are. So even those who fault the film for being mean-spirited and tasteless, you can't deny it's a well-made film. But none of that would make the film as memorable if it wasn't for the actors and actresses involved. Because, oh my God, they picked some great actresses. And I have to start with Rose McGowan, who anybody saying that she's horrible in this film, fuck off. I'm trying not to swear as much as I used to, but seriously, this woman did not come into this movie bored or needed to be shaken awake. She poured her heart into this role. She played such a good manipulative, stuck-up jerk that you love to hate her. She has this real preppy, spoiled princess vibe to her while also being hot that felt natural and didn't feel over the top. And just what Rose did to really put herself in this character and willing to go the lengths that the script asked her, I gotta tip my hat to her, including getting her husband involved with this movie. And if there's anything you should walk away with from this movie, it's an appreciation for Rose McGowan and her commitment as an actress to this movie. But she also has other great people to play off. Another great fox in this movie, because she is hot, that being Rebecca Gayheart, who really impressed me with her role in Urban Legend as the villain. But I think she does as equally as a great job here as the lead. I like the fact that her character doesn't use the fact that she's in a group to be bitchy to other people, but she knows her limits and even takes being thrown out of the group like a champ and moves on with her life, but at the same time is willing to defend this girl who, yeah, she was stuck up to, and maybe the fourth girl may have been nice to her, but she knew what was happening was wrong and that she didn't deserve it. So it makes you easy to get behind her. Along with that, I think her and Rose play great off each other in terms of tension and hatred for one another, especially when she pushes Courtney up to the wall and gives her this whole, you want a war, you got a war sort of quote. I can't sing enough praises to Rebecca. Of the cast, I will say the only one I didn't like was Julie Benz. I get what they're going for with her whole dad being this guy who she follows, and because he wants a lot out of her. I just feel the script didn't offer much, but rather to be Courtney's sidekick, and she just got annoying to listen to. I didn't like her. But she's the only kink in the armor. But another great member of the cast, I gotta say, is Pam Grier as the detective. Always nice to see Pam Grier in this sort of role, whether it's Above the Law, Jackie Brown. Anytime you see her in a movie, you know you're gonna get a good performance. And here it's no different, as she's this detective trying to figure out what's going on. She's not in the film too much. I wish there was more scenes with her and the girls, but the few scenes that are there are great, especially when she's interrogating them and she's talking about the Jawbreaker and talks about how it takes a lot of licks to get to the center of one of these.
And just Pam's delivery in that moment and just how she plays off the girls really makes it a joy to watch. Judy Greer, I also thought did a good job playing two different sides to the character of Fern, the nerdy side, and there's the side that Courtney turns her into. For the nerdy side, I think she does a great job playing this shy and introverted girl who at the beginning is just looking for acceptance, and despite Liz, the girl who ends up dying, giving her some respect, she still is willing to be her friend despite being in a group that hates her. And if you've seen photos of her at the premiere, she looks more like the side that Courtney turned her into. And I gotta tip my hat to the makeup department in that area, because how they made her look and how she disappears into that character with the shaggy hair, the buck teeth. I thought they did a great job, and I thought they made her look great. But when she steps into the sort of Frankenstein monster that Courtney turns her into, she really turns on a dime and becomes a completely different character. And just the scenes of her living it up and really finding happiness in her new status, and just how Judy is able to differentiate the character from the original version of Fern and feel like a completely different character, I gotta give her credit. And also the moments where she sticks it up to Courtney and gives this whole you can't touch me sort of attitude, I gotta give her kudos. Other actors, you got Chad Christ as Jules' boyfriend. I actually liked him. I thought him and Rebecca had some nice, sweet chemistry with each other. I like the scene of them driving together. He takes her to this hangout where they hang out, where it's like this drive-in movie theater, and he's still willing to stay there for her and be nice to her despite her being kicked out of the group and not having the status that she has. I thought he delivered that well. Carol Kane as someone who works at the school. Nice to see Carol Kane in here. William Catt and PJ Souls as Liz's parents. It's really a blink and you miss it sort of role, but they do fine. But the acting all around is solid, minus Julie Benz, but besides that, you could tell everyone involved had a good time making it. And the soundtrack is also great on the year. I'm referring to the licensed soundtrack from Scorpions, Rock You Like a Hurricane. Like I said, Veruca Salt, Imperial Teen has a couple songs on the soundtrack. Connie Francis. That's just the tip of the iceberg. So yeah, this is a solid comedy that while it may turn some people off due to the subject matter, those that are into these sort of films will definitely get a kick out of it. Now, in terms of problems with the film, I already mentioned Julie Benz, so we don't have to talk about that. But some aspects of the script don't make sense to me. Like, in particular, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered in regards to the fact that when Fern becomes the other side and has her name changed, why is the school not aware of this? How is the school not able to tell the difference between Fern and this other chick? Because if she is such a master disguise, wouldn't the school be questioning where Fern is? Because in real life, the school is always on top of their students and would be focusing on figuring out where their students are. It's top priority for them, so that didn't make sense. Or better yet, why is the school not able to tell the difference between Fern in her original nerdy design and her new makeover? She sits at the same desk as her anyway. Like, stuff like that could have been a bit better, explored a little bit more. Those are really my only two complaints that hold the film back from being a 10 out of 10. Because bottom line, Jawbreaker is twisted, dark, mean, and I mean that as a compliment because it is also hilarious. It's not a film for everybody, but if you could stomach the tasteless setup, you'll be in for a great time. So yes, I recommend you check out Jawbreaker. Don't listen to the critics. It's a great ride. So when it comes down to it, I give Jawbreaker a 9 out of 10, and it deserves it. It therefore gets the Alexandra seal of approval. Definitely one to check out if you're into black comedies or you like these sort of coming-of-age high school comedies. May not be for everyone, like I said, and I need to emphasize that because some may go in thinking that it'll be easy to watch. No. It's going to be a dark ride. But yeah, that is my review for Jawbreaker, and next time I will do a review on 8mm. That will be coming soon. If you guys want to see my thoughts on that, I will get another part of Sin uploaded. This may come out after this video, but be on the lookout for that. For right now, though, I will see you guys later. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Jawbreaker. Did you guys enjoy it? Did you guys find it funny? I'd love to know you guys' thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.